Welcome into the Farzy Show, everybody. Mark Farzetta here, presented by Steven Singer of Steven Singer Jewelers. For those on the podcast, we're going to start it off with you today, simply because I'm not at home. I'm not at my home studio, my lovely home studio that, well, still technically has to be built. I'm at Mom and Dad's today. Oh, yeah. I went over Joey and Eleanor's. That's where I am. So the asbestos remediation took a little longer than we wanted it to in our house. Taking a couple of days, actually. So that's just great. And I didn't want to just jump on the phone and do something with you guys, like one of my quick hits when I'm on vacation or out of town or whatever. So I brought the studio equipment to Mom and Dad's. And I am sitting at what was our kitchen table when we lived for a couple years in Rochester, New York. And this thing's holding up well. It's holding up really well. So just know that. Set the scene. For the people on the podcast one more time. The backing for me today just looks like that of, once again, a hostage video. They're treating me fine. They're feeding me well. Don't worry. Anyway, welcome into the show, everybody. It is Super Bowl week. Gary Cobb joins the show to talk all things Eagles. Gary's going out to the Super Bowl on Wednesday. So all the excitement, it just starts. All the excitement, just all the anticipation really builds up throughout this week. I just want it to be Sunday. Everything that happens, including, or I shouldn't even say including, especially a 76ers 21-point blown lead, especially that makes me wish it was Sunday even faster. Oh, my goodness. Still fighting that cough. I'm starting to win that battle, though. But it all is a countdown to Sunday as far as this week goes. I can't wait for it to get underway. I really think the Eagles are going to win this game. I really think we're going to be partying on Broad Street. And hopefully our list of guests throughout this week only add to that confidence. Gary Cobb today. And then we have the great Ray Didinger for tomorrow's show. So I look forward to catching up with Ray as well to get his thoughts on Eagles-Chiefs Super Bowl 57. Let's start it off with the Eagles getting disrespected already. And it starts with a man named Brandon Ayuk. We'll get to the Sixers. We'll give them the tongue lashing that they deserve. But when it comes to this week, it's pretty much all Eagles. And Brandon Ayuk decided to go out there and voice his opinion on the Philadelphia Eagles that basically they're nowhere near the team that they were supposed to be. He feels that the San Francisco 49ers have been the best team in the NFL all season long, and the Eagles ain't nothing. That's how wide receiver Brandon Ayuk feels about the Philadelphia Eagles, the team his Niners lost to in the NFC Championship game. You can roll out the excuse train for the Niners and say that they were down to their fourth-string quarterback. You could certainly get into that conversation. You can get into the idea that the refs, they called so many penalties on San Francisco. Well, here's an idea. Don't commit those penalties. And here's an idea. I don't know. Protect your quarterback. And then you don't have to be worried about it. You don't have to worry about your fourth-string quarterback being in the game. So there's just I'm just brainstorming here. Just brainstorming for some San Francisco 49ers fans still. But the reason I bring it up is because the disrespect train will just keep on trucking along. It'll just keep on going. And I really, in all honesty, hope it does. For a very simple reason. This team still, although 5 years removed from the underdog Super Bowl champions that they were, loves, a lot of them, love the idea of being disrespected. A lot of them still love the idea of being the underdog. No one really gives us credit. No one really believes in us. We didn't play anybody this season. And they've heard that part of it all season long. And now, right before the Super Bowl, they're hearing from a guy who they held to, checks notes, one catch for 10 yards in the NFC Championship game. Oh, well, they didn't have their starting quarterback. They didn't have even their third-string quarterback and Brock Purdy for most of that game. How could you hold it against them and only have one catch? Okay, how about the previous week where he had – now, hold on. Don't be poof. I know Jerry Rice was a great receiver. I know Jerry Rice is probably the greatest receiver in the history of the game. Certainly the greatest with the San Francisco 49ers. So when I say these numbers, you might think right away to Jerry Rice. You know how many catches? He had one. Brandon Ayuk had one catch against the Eagles in that NFC Championship game. You know how many he had in the divisional round against the Dallas Cowboys? Brace yourself. 2. So when Brandon Ayuk speaks, I'm sure the world listens. But here's the deal. It doesn't matter if he's Jerry Rice. It doesn't matter if he's Brandon Ayuk. The fact of the matter is a guy they just beat is now mudslinging again, to use that word, against the Eagles right before the Super Bowl. This only helps the Eagles. It'll help the fan base have a little chip on their shoulder going into Arizona, which is great. And the Eagles certainly have seen this. And the Eagles will go, okay. All right, yeah, we'll show you. They've been hearing the thing about not playing anybody all season long. Yet somehow they were 6-0 against playoff teams. Somehow they won 2 playoff games. Somehow they're now in the Super Bowl. Yeah, that's fine. Go ahead and roll out that well-paved path to the Super Bowl. You still got to win the games. You still got to play the games. You still got to stay healthy. You still got to stay on top of everything. And that's what the Eagles have done with their coaching staff and their players all season long. And that's why when we got into it on Friday with Jalen Hurts coming out there saying the number one thing you have to do this week is just stay focused. We got to push through the week. Got to get through all the practices. You got to get to Arizona, and the Eagles landed in Arizona yesterday after their kickoff party, after their send-off party that we'll talk about in a second. And they're just staying focused all week long. And that has been the greatest gift to this team all season. Aside from the talent level of an Hassan Reddick or a James Bradbury or Jalen Hurts elevating his play to an MVP conversation, the focus has been there all season long with this team. And I don't see it leaving them during Super Bowl week. I see them before every media session, looking at it before every photograph session, looking at each other and be like, yeah, there's a game in here somewhere. Like Doug Peterson said 5 years ago, let's get after it. And let's not lose focus. So whatever Brandon Ayuk wants to say, it only helps the Eagles. And again, held to 1 catch in the NFC Championship game, held to 2 catches in the divisional round. Not that concerned. Not that concerned. But the Eagles, they'll feed on it. They'll dine on it, baby. They'll dine on it. I never thought I'd see the day. I honestly didn't. I feel good for the guy because if we don't like an underdog story, what don't we like? We all know the history of Howie Roseman. Starting as an intern, working his way up, really taking the brunt of it when it came to fan criticism about the status of this team, the draft status of this team, blown picks, whether that was Marcus Smith, whether that was Brandon Graham at the time, all these guys we could talk about. Certainly the number one is Justin Jefferson and Jalen Reagor. We could get into that all the live long day. But with Howie Roseman, when he was pushed aside for Chip Kelly, my feeling on it was what great GM was ever told, hey, don't do your job. Get out of here. Give power to somebody else. And that GM was kept around still. It had to go through all the jokes of the broom closet and all that stuff while Chip Kelly was running everything, moving Howie Roseman's office, all that stuff. What great GM ever went through something like that and then came back and then was successful? Well, now there's an answer to that. Howie Roseman. And it hasn't just been like great off seasons of winning the off season, right? It was 2 years after Chip Kelly lit a match to the franchise. 2 years after he got rid of a guy that took him into the playoffs in Nick Foles. It was 2 years after they just absolutely were terrible in Chip Kelly's final season here in Philadelphia. 2 years after you didn't have LaShawn McCoy anymore, you didn't have Deshaun Jackson anymore. 2 years after all that, remember Kiko Alonso? Howie Roseman rebuilt the team into a Super Bowl champion and did so by putting together maybe the deepest team in the history of the NFL ever to win a championship when you think about that 2017 team. And then here we are 5 years later after more playoff appearances, at least. Maybe not playoff victories, but playoff appearances. He goes out there. He gets a quarterback that he drafted in the second round and puts together a roster with Hassan Reddick, James Bradbury, who I mentioned, drafted Jordan Davis, brought in Javon Hargrave 3 years ago, built this defensive line to what it is. And he's about to go back to his second Super Bowl in 5 years. I mean, you can't argue with that kind of success. He's done a phenomenal job. This year in particular, in terms of maybe building that Pro Bowl team that we've talked about in years past. Everybody, look at this position. Everyone is Pro Bowl consideration. Up and down that offensive line. Pro Bowl consideration. Up down the defensive line, Pro Bowl consideration. Secondary, Pro Bowl consideration. Goes and makes a trade for a guy who's never played safety. All of a sudden, this coaching staff turns him into a safety, and he only has the most interceptions in the league with 6. Not bad for Chauncey Gardner-Johnson. Marcus Epps, not a lot of people had confidence in. They remember testing the waters on other people right before the season started. Marcus Epps just did fine. Had a fine season for himself. When you think about Howie Roseman and I don't know what you would call it, the timeline of Howie Roseman, how fans reacted to Howie Roseman. You look at the fact that he was down there in Houston this year, and the fans had a sign that said, "Howie, we forgive you," or "You are forgiven." And he, fee-fi-fo-fummed his way over to the sideline, went over to the fans during warm-ups and said, "I'm forgiving you your first Super Bowl." Basically, bleep you. And then, let's go Eagles. Let's go Eagles. And I think Howie meant more so the first part of that than the second part of it. But you think about the timeline of Howie Roseman and how he's been received in Philadelphia. And the man is one step away from going back on that mountaintop for the second time in 5 years. Already, obviously in the tournament, made it to the Final Four. Now it's the championship. It's pretty impressive to watch that happen with Howie Roseman at the helm. And now he's got another huge test after all this. And we'll get to there in the offseason with all the players the Eagles have to resign, where they go from the Super Bowl. But the fact of the matter is they're going from the Super Bowl again under Howie Roseman. It might be one of the greatest comeback stories in all of Philadelphia sports history. It's almost like Geno Smith. What did he come back from, though? Well, being ass. He wasn't that good. But over the last 5 years, he's been pretty damn good. Really, we're talking about the last 7 years, been pretty damn good. Even his biggest mistake by letter of the law for Howie Roseman. This is how good Howie Roseman has been. He went against the you call it grain, go against the shark skin. I don't know what you'd call it. But Howie Roseman signs Carson Wentz all that money, still drafts a really good quarterback there in the second round, albeit, but still drafts a really good quarterback. And that second round quarterback ends up becoming what will be known as the franchise quarterback. What is known as a franchise quarterback. Going against the letter of the law worked out really well for Howie Roseman. Really well for Howie Roseman. Potentially even the best possible way it could have worked out. Even better than Carson Wentz. Because Carson Wentz, if he plays in that Super Bowl, if he never gets hurt, here's the thing. Nick Foles played damn near perfect. Would Carson Wentz have been damn near perfect? Hey, look, we'll never know. But all I know is if you said, okay, you can have the way Nick Foles played in that game or the field, the way Nick Foles played, I don't know if anyone in the field would play that damn near perfect game. You might have better quarterbacks out there, and you certainly would. But the way Nick Foles played, think about it. If Carson Wentz plays, does he play at the level Nick Foles does? And do the Eagles get that Super Bowl? Maybe not. Took a lot to win against Tom Brady on that day. It's crazy to think about how everything fell into place. That we're talking about not just winning the Eagles' first Super Bowl anymore. We're talking about the Eagles being 2-time Super Bowl champions. And I think it's going to happen. Things did bleed over into the 76ers game yesterday. And I love this on the road. If you guys haven't heard me talk about this before, I love the Eagles chant when it's at Eagles games or it's any road Philadelphia sporting event. I don't like Eagles chants at Phillies games, Flyers games, Sixers games. I think that is disrespectful to the players playing in front of you in that moment. But when you're on the road and it's like, hey, let's see how many people from Philly are here. Like even if you're at a nearby place like Madison Square Garden and you let an Eagles chant rip, oh, baby. Big Daddy Graham used to tell a story about going to the Coliseum in Rome and yelling out E-A-G-L-E-S and somebody else yelled Eagles. And he was looking around to see if he could find somebody waving or whatever. Nothing. But he goes, I started and somebody else finished. If you're away, I love it. And last night at Madison Square Garden, this took place during the Sixers-Knicks game.
That layup from Grimes ends a 12-0 Sixers run.
Did you hear that? An Eagles chant breaks out while they're at the foul line last night. Sixers, of course, ended up blowing that game, but we'll get that in a second. I love that. Absolutely love it. I remember being on the road many times for Sunday Night Football and looking up and just seeing the Eagles fan base take over a section during warm-ups. And then you could hear them always throughout the game. But the thing I always love the most is that the Eagles fan, the chant, like for instance, when you say, it happens a lot in baseball with "Let's go Mets," okay? You'll hear "Let's go Mets, let's go Mets," it's Citizens Bank Park, and then people boo it down. But the Eagles chant is so piercing, quick, and a striking delivery that you can't boo it down. And it's like fans are still eating their hot dogs and they're here and they go, "Oh no, I can't boo it yet." And then it just rains down upon them. And that's what you heard last night at Madison Square Garden during the game. It was phenomenal. Let's see. We took over the Empire State Building last week. This week we took over Madison Square Garden as a fan base. I just wish the team would have taken over Madison Square Garden. How is it in a week's time? You blow a 21-point lead to the Orlando Magic, who are terrible. And then you blow a 21-point lead to the, I'll call them middling New York Knickerbockers. How do you do that? That's hard. But Doc Rivers and his boys did it. They blew them out in the first quarter of that game, and I guess the Sixers thought they're going to be on cruise control throughout, but the Knicks just kept on coming. I don't know what it is about Evan Fournier. I don't like him. I just find him to be so annoying. Like, stop being that good. What business do you have being that good? I don't know what it is. He's one of those players I don't enjoy. I don't like even a little bit. Julius Randle's in that same ilk for me. I don't like him either. Maybe it's because they're both New York Knicks. I don't know, but that probably has a lot to do with it. But last night, the Sixers just, I don't like using this, and I know a lot of people like jumping to it. They got out-hustled. They just flat out got outplayed. Especially the second team, especially Tyrese Maxey and his boys. Oh, my goodness. And the play towards the end of the game in the fourth quarter, about 3:30 left of the game. Knicks go to the foul line. Tobias Harris goes up for a rebound. They missed the foul shot. Tobias Harris goes up for the rebound, mistimes the jump. It bounces around the rim a little bit. He doesn't come down with it. Instead, the Knicks then turn that into a 3-point play. And the Sixers, I think, went from down 5 and then down 8 on that one possession. And I'm just like, you can't time that better. The other guy timed it better. I forget who it was that came down with the rebound. But that play was like a dagger. I heard it later in the game, J.J. Redick say, "Oh, mark the time of death for the Sixers, blah, blah, blah." And I'm like, I think they died a long time ago. I think they died about 5 minutes ago. Doc Rivers talked about it after the game, basically. What went wrong? For the stats, let me just give you these stats real quick. Offensive rebounds, this is the one that's probably most glaring. Sixers got out-rebounded on the offensive glass 14-8. Turnovers were straight up even at 12 apiece throughout the game, and the Sixers even got more points off turnovers in this game. But yeah, when it comes to points in the paint, which should never happen with Joel Embiid as your center, it happens. They got outscored 42-36, not huge there. But rebounds on the offensive glass, 14-8, probably your biggest deficit there, especially in that second half. But here's Doc Rivers after the game. Well, what the hell happened to the Sixers blowing a 21-point lead?
I'm good at that. You know, just because one half doesn't work, you don't vacate the unit. That's what guys do who lose a lot. So they didn't play well tonight. Honestly, I didn't think that's why we lost the game. You know, the game is not just explained by plus minus. Sometimes it's more than that. The starters came in, and we still had the lead. So I thought we were just not emotionally strong tonight, mentally. I thought they were the mentally tougher team, and they deserved to win.
They obviously had an overtime game last night. You guys come out, get an early lead.
Here's what bothers me. Doc Rivers, for everyone that wants to say, why doesn't a coach throw his players under the bus? Or not even just throw them under the bus, just acknowledge the problem. And yeah, I do believe that with Doc Rivers, the problem was his team not having that energy, not having that focus, and his team getting out-hustled. But Doc seems to do this more than any other coach. And I don't think that's a good thing. I think as a team, it's good when your coach is lying his ass off. We don't like it as fans because you're not holding guys accountable. In our eyes, you're not holding them accountable. Like, what are you talking about? You watch the turnovers there in the second half. You watch the way you were getting beat on the offensive glass. You watch the second chance points. What are you talking about? This team was giving you hustle tonight. Well, as a coach, you want to maintain the peace in the locker room, certainly, and we might not like it as fans, but Doc seems to do this more than anybody and say, "Oh yeah, well the team didn't have it tonight." Well, one thing we rarely ever hear Doc do is say, "This one's on me." I don't think I have ever heard him say it, as a matter of fact. This one's on me. This loss is on me. I got to make sure. Oh, God, I can't even believe I'm about to champion this. I got to make sure that I do a better job of making sure these guys are focused. Whether it's making an adjustment, which he's talking about right there in that clip, talking about how maybe he shuffles his lineup a little bit because things were working out last night. Oh, no, you can't do that. Basically, you're going to start scrambling. You're going to get caught up in that proverbial quicksand, trying to do everything right, and all you do is keep on sinking. That's what he's getting at by talking about the roster. Oh, I can't shift things simply because we're losing. Well, maybe that's the time you do it. If you see that this team is getting beat, if you see that this team focus is off. I mean, Paul Reed seemed to get more minutes than he normally does last night, so there was a little shake-up there. For whatever reason, Doc doesn't want to get into that. And for whatever reason, Doc doesn't want to say, yeah, this is something I could have done. I should have done this. In hindsight, that didn't work out the way we planned it, so maybe we do this. Like, where's the accountability for him? I hear him talking about what his players didn't do a hell of a lot more than talking about what he could have done. And I think if you're a player, you want to play for the guy that's pointing the finger at himself, too. And you never really hear that from Doc Rivers. Now, last night, look, a week ago, you want to talk about losing a 21-point lead to the Magic. Yeah, you're going to lay a clunker every once in a while. You do 2 of those in a 7-day span. I think the coach should start talking a little bit more about himself than he should be talking about what his players are doing. I know we love it, but I don't get the sense anybody loves it from Doc Rivers, and I think it's because you never hear him say that one's on me. They'll blame the schedule. He'll blame his players, but you won't hear Doc Rivers go, that one's on me tonight. I didn't have it. As a matter of fact, last year, what gained a lot of interest, I think it was our friend Mr. Krell who put it out there, saying, what about this loss was coaching? Would you ask Pop that question? Yes. No, you wouldn't. Okay. And guess what? It doesn't get any easier for the Sixers. Now they face the Celtics in 2 days. Hopefully they pull focus and bring the hustle to the court when they face the Celtics coming up. The reason, sorry, I got sidetracked there for a second there. Back to the Eagles before we get to Gary Cobb coming up here. The reason I went off on that tangent with Howie Roseman is because the Eagles just had their send-off party yesterday at Lincoln Financial Field. Really nice crowd turned out for it. They were on the field. A lot of players introduced. Fletcher Cox was one of them. Jake Elliott was up there, too. I thought that was hilarious. Jake's reaction to Dave Spadero's intro of him. How about it's like Mr. Money Man and all that stuff. And to Jake Elliott, who's a kicker and I'm sure superstitious, I was like, all right, let's back it off a little there, buddy. Jalen Hurts was out there. Nick Sirianni was out there. And Howie Roseman was on stage. And the fans were chanting Howie's name. From a guy that everybody wanted fired and had no problem with kicking him aside when Chip Kelly came in, to now a guy who is a Super Bowl victory under his belt, at least another Super Bowl appearance under his belt, Executive of the Year by the AP, I believe it was. This guy is now getting his name chanted by the same fans that wanted him out. And standing next to him on the stage, Nick Sirianni, a guy he hired, obviously, Nick Sirianni chanting Howie's name as well. And Howie's there capturing it all on his phone. I don't see Howie on social media. I don't know where that goes. Maybe he just keeps it for his own sake. I don't know. But that's got to be a pretty damn good feeling. And at the same time, you got to be thinking, yeah, these guys wanted me out of here. But look, we're back in another Super Bowl. Quite the evolution of the career of Howie Roseman. Let me tell you about Steven Singer of Steven Singer Jewelers, the other corner of 8th and Walnut, right there on Jewelers Row. Valentine's Day. 8 days away. Are you ready? Are you prepared? Get to Steven Singer Jewelers, the other corner of 8th and Walnut, right now. Steven Singer Jewelers offers the perfect price, whether it's their beautiful gold dip roses or diamond stud earrings. Steven Singer is where it's at. Now, what is the perfect price? The perfect price is an incredible thing. The perfect price is there for anyone that knows or wants to know they're not getting taken advantage of. That's what other jewelers do. They mark the price way up just to mark it down a couple of bucks in front of you, make you feel like you're a great negotiator. I like you. Yeah, great smile. Here's a couple $100 off. Steven Singer Jewelers, you get it all just from walking in the door. You don't have to negotiate. You don't have to haggle. No pressure. Sit down, relax, pick out the beautiful piece of dazzling diamond jewelry that you want to buy. Steven Singer Jewelers, one place, one price, perfect price. Online at IHateStevenSinger.com. That's IHateStevenSinger.com. Steven Singer Jewelers, one place, one price, the perfect price online at IHateStevenSinger.com. Without further ado, let's jump on the Rothman Orthopedics guest line. Talk to today's guest, our good friend, Mr. Gary Cobb. Joining us right now on the Rothman Orthopedics guest line, a man taking time out of what will be a very busy week as he heads out to Arizona for the Super Bowl. Former Eagles linebacker, the great G Cobb, Gary Cobb joins us. What's going on there, G?
I'm doing great. How you doing?
I'm doing great. Now, I give you so much credit, and I know we've talked about this when you've joined the show before, but you were so ahead of pretty much everybody else's time when it came to the digital world with gcobb.com, and now you continue that as you got your Gary Cobb, your G Cobb YouTube channel as well, and you're just going to be pumping that full of content while you're out there in Arizona, are you not?
Oh, yeah. Well, the thing I'm going to be out there doing is really, we throw these big parties. Really, it's the NFL. They throw these big parties, and I'm one of the hosts, and it's really for former players so guys can come in and talk. And a lot of it is for be able to talk to guys, make sure everybody's all right. If we could do anything to help any guys, that sort of thing. And really it's kind of get a chance to and for players to talk to each other, a lot of times, it's therapeutic. Because if a guy's dealing with a challenging situation, he's going to talk to his buddies and everything. And so we're going to be throwing some big parties out there. And, it's going to be a lot of fun because, then I'm going to be doing some work for Fox as well. Of course, I'm the analyst for the pregame show we're going to be doing and doing work for Fox. So I'll be out there doing all of that. And it'll be a good time.
Just hustling, always hustling. Now, that's so great. And what people really have to understand is how much of a brotherhood it really is of all you guys that played together in the NFL, whether you're on the same team or not, especially after you retire, guys are just there for one another. It really is an incredible thing to watch as someone who grew up as just a fan of the sport and then got to cover the sport and watch you guys all show up to each other's events. You guys all go out there to the Super Bowl and you guys have each other's backs. It really is an incredible thing. And the NFL also has you doing some work with some of the younger guys coming into the league from time to time, do they not?
Well, that's right. I work with young guys. In fact, we help guys as they go through a transition out of the game when they get released, young guys. Help them, get jobs, help them kind of put their life back together. Because it's traumatic when a guy's put all his life into making it to the NFL. He makes it. And 2-3 years, they tell him it's over. It's a challenge. And so we work with them hey, you've got abilities, we can utilize in these other areas. And the NFL has partners that we work with, different companies that help these guys by, supplying different jobs and giving them an opportunity. And so what we do is we encourage them, say, hey, your life's not over, you might be a coach, or if you're not going to do that, you could get involved in media. There are other opportunities with other different businesses. So the big thing we do is, it's like a big brother. You're helping a guy and help him get back on his feet and encourage him to go ahead and keep putting the same effort into something else that he was putting into football. And it's great to see the guys, really just start feeling good about themselves again. And then they really start achieving. And so that's all. And, and I'm what's called a legends coordinator. So in the East Coast, really, I work with guys, making sure everybody's good, and helping guys. If they got a challenge, there are different things that we have to try to help guys. So it's gets involved and, you really get to know a lot of the guys. And of course, I enjoy it because these are my brothers. Hey,
Some of them older brothers, some of them younger brothers, but brothers nonetheless, of course.
that's right. And you know, getting where more and more of them are younger brothers. You know?
I'm sure. I do want to ask, we have this special Eagles season that we just witnessed as far as the regular season, 2 playoff wins, now the Super Bowl right here. But I have to ask you, just in terms of the regular season itself, and I've asked a lot of people this question, I'm curious to get your take on it. I think during the 2017 season, it was fairly obvious as to when it was going to be a special year, and that was the Jake Elliott field goal against the Giants. Was there a moment, or was there something in particular that jumped out to you with this Eagles season that made you think, oh, wow, this could be a special year?
Well, you know, it's been a maturation of Jalen Hurts. I mean, in seeing the way he was advancing and knowing that Howie had made a lot of good moves to improve the team, and to see Jalen, you know, growing as a quarterback to where he's reading defenses, he's getting the ball out of his hands, then he's hurting people with his legs. To see the way he's grown into the position, that really is the reason that they're, you know, here. Because, you know, I mean, there are other areas too. The big thing about this team, which is the reason that I know that Kansas City and Andy Reid and those guys not getting a lot of sleep, is they can beat you in so many ways. You know, this team can beat you with their, you could say, the secondary. Secondary can beat you because with big plays and the way they can be dominating, we've seen the defensive line, how they can take over a game and beat you. Same thing with the Eagles' offensive line or with their weapons. So you've got all these different ways in which the Eagles can beat you. And that's why, you know, playing against them is really a challenge. You know, and I know that, you know, the coaches and Andy's coaches, they are working hard and they're not getting a lot of sleep, because you look at some of those tapes, I'm going, man, the way you've got Miles Sanders running into the end zone without being touched against the Niners, who you weren't supposed to be able to run the ball against, he's going into the end zone and not even been touched.
Not only not being touched, he's going in there, he's doing a little waddle dance, and then Jason Kelce follows him, and he does a little waddle dance, and then they're untouched. They're just celebrating the fact they just ran through the best run defense in all football.
You know, I mean, you know, and you can see where the Niners were like, you talk about, you know, they're getting the quarterback knocked out and all that, and that was, you know, definitely discouraging. But having them run the ball on them like that, believe me, I didn't play when they were supposed to be such a great defense. I mean, if I never had that happen. I mean, somebody's running the ball, guys are going in the end zone untouched. I'll tell you, I'll tell you, it broke them down. And I tell you, Kansas City, you look at that tape, you're not getting any sleep.
So let me ask you this then, down that line. Okay, so we'll talk about Spags, talk about defense. As a former defensive player and someone who breaks down this game in such a great way for Fox, obviously, when you look at this Eagles offense, yes, they could certainly beat you in a lot of ways, and it's a pick your poison type of thing. What poison are you picking? What are you concentrating on? What are you doing in order to stop one of the best offenses in the entire NFL all season long, led by an MVP candidate like Jalen Hurts? What are you doing first and foremost to try to stop that offense?
Well, you're going to move people into the box, you know, because they're counting the people in the box. And if you don't have a certain number of people on either side, they're automaticing to that side. So you really got to take some chances. And so you're going to move people up, and you've got to give your linebackers the authority to make changes just before the play. And it didn't look like San Francisco gave their guys that type of freedom. But, you know, you see the Eagles, they make an audible. You got to make an audible, you know, because you got to move people up in order to take away the run. And the Eagles went to the running game. They did not throw the ball well. Now, I will tell you this, that, you know, Jalen needs to throw the ball better. You know, against Kansas City, chances are they're going to score more than San Francisco did. So, and really, I will tell you this. As a kid growing up, you know, looking at TV and looking at shows, whether it's a little movie or whatever it is, you got the good guy against the bad guy. You always know, despite the fact that the bad guy's winning for most of the show, you know the good guy's going to win. I want the Eagles to watch out for this.
Okay.
Do not let this game be close.
Ooh.
Because Mahomes, if you give him an opportunity, you ask him for trouble. For him to pull a game out, the guy's got a great arm. He can throw the ball. I've seen him throw the ball with his left hand. I mean, come on. He can throw from all these different angles. I mean, he's like a magician with the ball. He is the one guy. He is the X factor. That is the one area, main area, where the Chiefs have an advantage, which is at the quarterback position. He is the best quarterback in the NFL. He can get it done. Do not let him be the hero at the end of the game. The Eagles cannot let this game be close. They need to jump over. They need to take advantage of this game. They need to build a big lead where everybody's having fun during the second half, laughing and everything, because the game has been decided. If it goes down to the wire, I don't even want to see the end if Mahomes has got that ball.
All right. Well, so is it the type of thing where you want the Eagles to take the ball first? If the Chiefs win the toss and defer to the Eagles, is that a good thing for the Eagles? And if the Eagles win the toss, should they take the ball first?
I would want them to take the ball first. I think they have an advantage. I think they can move the ball against the Chiefs' defense. I think they go out there and grab a lead. I would like to see them see that happen. I think that's an advantage for them because, they really as long as, like I said, Jalen needs to be on the money with his throwing. And I know he missed some games, and I think they just got out of sync with regards to that passing game. But they need the passing game because Kansas City, with Mahomes, they're capable of scoring. They're going to score more than San Francisco did. So they need to have that passing game. They need a passing game. They're going to have a running game. They can run the ball against the Chiefs. So I feel confident about that. The whole thing is, how good is their passing game going to be? And so want to see them in sync. Jalen putting that ball on the money. He's got to put some more air up under those deep throws. AJ has been open a couple times. Put that ball up there where he can run under it. Because if they get the passing game going and the running game, that's where they and really it's fitting that they would finish up their season with a complete game performance. And the offensive line is going to be pounding with the running game. I don't see any way that Kansas City is going to be able to stop that. They're going to have to pick their poison. But if the Eagles can connect on some big plays, then that's quick scores. And that's what's going to put them in a great position. The other thing is you don't want to give Mahomes too many times where you're letting him, you want ball possession. You would love to have some grinding drives. Leave him over there. Tell Mr. Mahomes, grab a seat over here on the bench. You're going to be over here for a while.
Okay.
That's what we want to be able to do because you don't want to give them the ball so many times. And when you get opportunities to get off the field, they got to get off the field. So, but this is going to be an outstanding game. But as I said, Mr. Mahomes, notice I call him Mr. That's probably what they need to call. We don't want to see where he's getting the ball. With the Eagles, the Chiefs are down 6. It's 2 minutes to go, and he's getting the ball. No, we don't want that. We don't want that drama. We do not want that. And we want the Eagles in a comfortable lead by up a couple touchdowns or maybe 3 touchdowns where they're sitting and we're popping popcorn. People are, getting distracted at home and things like that. That's the kind of game we want.
I think we'll be popping more than popcorn if the Eagles are up by 3 touchdowns, especially late in this game.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
Yeah. Right. So when you see, as somebody who played here, when you see the celebrations on Broad Street, like just making it into the NFC championship or winning the NFC championship game, making it to the Super Bowl, when you see stuff like that, what's the first thing that jumps to mind?
Well, I guess, all the time that people had to wait. All the time, people were waiting for a Super Bowl. And when they finally got here, it really shocked a lot of people because it just came up, boom, and all of a sudden, they beating the Patriots, and I was out on the field after that game and Brandon Graham was out there and Brandon and his wife and his little girl. And he's got the little girl. And I said, now, young lady, you don't know me. But I'm telling you, the play your dad made, Your dad's gonna be old man, and people are still gonna be coming up to you going, you know, your dad made a play back again in the Super Bowl, blah, 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 blah. I said, they're never gonna forget that play. And so it was fun being out there with his little daughter and his wife and Brandon and telling them that nobody's ever gonna forget. The Philadelphia fans are going to forever remember the play he made, strip sack of Tom Brady in that game to help the Eagles win their first Super Bowl.
Gee, when Tom Brady retired and he said during his retirement video, you know, no regrets. I thought to myself, maybe just one. Maybe just get rid of that ball a little faster before Brandon Graham came storming back there to get you.
It was so close. And the thing is, it was timing, you know, because he was putting the ball in one hand and Brandon swiped right at the exact same right time, and that ball was on the ground. And that was the key. That was the play of that game, because despite the way that the Eagles played offensively, that they were able to go and score so many points and everything, Brady was putting on a show himself.
Oh, yeah, lighten it up.
And
lighten it up. With no Brady.
They were on the verge of, you know, winning that game. So that was a huge play.
Real quick, I want you to answer this question as quickly as you can. The Eagles, if they lose this game, let's focus on the negative first. If they lose this game, it will be because of what, most likely?
It'll be because of their passing game not getting in sync.
Oof. Okay. All right. So that's no bueno. If they win this game, it'll be because of what?
It'll be because you know, they got everything going, and defensively, you know, they kept Mahomes in the pocket. They didn't really let him get loose where he's out there using his creative abilities. So that they kept him under control in the pocket. That's the way they'll win the game. And offensively, they really, you know, use their passing game and their running game. They got both of them going, and they made it a rout.
All right. And then finally, what are you expecting? Now, at the time we tape this interview, it's Sunday night leading into Super Bowl week. So I'll just give that timeline for when you make your early prediction here going into it. What are you expecting? How are you expecting this game to play out between the Eagles and Chiefs in the Super Bowl?
Well, I think it's going to start out where you're going to have some scoring early. And I think the Eagles are going to, probably in the third quarter, second and third quarter, that's where they're going to make a difference. I think they're going to take over the game with the fact that they can run the ball and throw the ball against the Chiefs. And they're going to end up really getting after them, putting some points on the board, and they're going to get a couple turnovers, and I think that'll be the difference.
Oh, I love it, G. We'll be popping that popcorn and champagne, my friend.
But if we're not sure in the fourth quarter, I might get up and leave. That dog on Mahomes. But we don't want any drama in the fourth quarter.
No, I want it to be a laugher. I want Patrick Mahomes to retire by the fourth. No, all right, that's enough. But no, in all seriousness, G-Cobb, nobody breaks it down like you, my friend. Appreciate you joining the show. Safe travels out there. Have yourself a great time, and good for you. Also make sure you guys subscribe. Check out the Gary Cobb YouTube channel as well for all the content I'll be putting up there. And just for being a great guy, and I mean this because I've known you for a long time. What you do for retired NFL players, also players coming into the league, players that are out of the league too soon. You're just a great guy, man, and I appreciate all you do for those people. So thank you for that.
All right, my pleasure. Hey, and go Birds!
Go Birds, baby. G Cobb joining us here on the Rothman Orthopedics guest line. G Cobb, would you? Friggin' love G Cobb. I have known that man a long time. I'm a big fan of that man and all the great things that he does for NFL alumni, all the stuff he does for the community. He's just great. He's just a great dude. And I looked over at the comments while that interview was going on. Two things I did while the interview was going on there. Looked over at the comments, and I agree. Like, I feel very confident about the Eagles winning this game. And who was it that was saying it? Was it? Yeah, Mike Walker. I'll just jump to this real quick. I don't know how to handle this confidence. Hearing G Cobb, Baldy, Ray Diddy all pick the Eagles to win. Do I need therapy? I have noticed. So I've had a lot of workers at the house. Okay, that we just bought. From like radon remediation guys to asbestos remediation guys. Those are who are at the house now. And there's like the tiles in the basement. In my family, we don't mess around with asbestos. So Not that any family does, but we didn't want to just cover it. We wanted to get rid of it. So whatever. So basically, I've had a lot of conversations with a lot of Eagles fans recently, and random people, not like friends of mine, right? And they're all in the same thing. They're all like, I feel good about this game. And I'm like, I do too, man. I feel great. I was like at Costco yesterday, and somebody was talking about the Eagles with me. And I'm like, I feel good too, man. It's like, don't be ashamed. You've watched your team roll through a regular season. You've watched your team dominate in the playoffs. Don't be bashful all of a sudden now that the Super Bowl's around. You have respect for Patrick. I don't think this is going to be a blowout, unfortunately, contrary to what my man Gary Cobb says. I think it is going to be close. I right now have it as a 27-24 Eagles victory. But, man, I just think the Eagles are the better team. Yes, who has a better quarterback? Patrick Mahomes. But you know who's been right there with them this season? Jalen Hurts. Yeah, he's pretty damn good. And if they weren't playing Patrick Mahomes, we'd be talking about Jalen Hurts and what a great quarterback he is. But the fact that it's like, in my mind, when you talk about the way they've played this year, it's like 55-45. 55% to Patrick Mahomes as the better quarterback, 45% to Jalen Hurts as the better quarterback. Like, that's pretty damn good. Hey, whose career would I take to this point? Obviously, Patrick Mahomes. But when we talk about skill level this season, it's pretty damn close. It's not like Patrick Mahomes and, I don't know, who's somebody that's not won. Or somebody who has – it's not Patrick Mahomes and Trent Dilfer. Okay, it's not the 2000 Ravens, right? It's not like that at all. It's pretty damn close when you talk about the quarterback position in the Super Bowl. You know what it's not? Tom Brady, Nick Foles. Okay? That to make it clearer, I guess. It's not that. But overall, the Eagles are the better team. The Eagles should win this game. That's why the Eagles are favored now at 1.5. So, yeah, I'm pretty confident going into this game as well. So, G. Cobb saying he's really confident in this team. You need to be in control of this game. I absolutely get. Maybe the Eagles need to win this game by like 31-20. You can't make it that close at the end of the game. But I would find it hard to believe that the Chiefs wouldn't get 3 touchdowns in this game. So, yeah, I think it's close, but I think the Eagles win it. Everyone I talk to, hey, how do you think about the Eagles? I really like them. I like them winning this game. Me too. And they're like, they're almost ashamed. The attitude of the people that think they're going to win this game over Patrick Mahomes, Andy Reid, and the Kansas City Chiefs, the people are like, I do too. Like, I don't know why. It's because your team's awesome. We can all come to grips with the fact that the Philadelphia Eagles are awesome. And whatever Brandon Ayuk's saying, whatever doubters want to spew BS out into the atmosphere, whatever. It's okay. Eagles are great. Eagles are going to win this game. It's not a bad thing to feel confident in your team. You should feel confident in your team. Oh, it's going to be beautiful. Let me tell you about the great people at Manscaped, manscaped.com, 20% off and free shipping when you use promo code FARZI at manscaped.com. You'll enjoy their Platinum Package 4.0, which includes their incredible lawnmower, ear and nose hair lawnmower trimmer. It also includes their Weed Whacker ear and nose hair trimmer, and they both come with skin-safe technology that helps you reduce the risk of nicks so you can manscape with confidence and comfort. So make sure you check out all of my friends at manscaped.com and treat yourself. Hey, Valentine's Day, ladies, maybe that's the gift for the man. Manscaped.com, 20% off and free shipping with promo code FARZI. How about the amazing, the incredible Freestone Farm CBD? That's Freestone Farm CBD at FreestoneFarmCBD.com. They grow all their premium hemp flower in the Garden State. Maybe this is the Valentine's Day gift, huh? Special someone in your life. They like CBD. They use CBD, but they want to switch up the CBD. Freestone Farm CBD, FreestoneFarmCBD.com. With promo code FARZI, you get 20% off at FreestoneFarmCBD.com. You'll enjoy the tropical tasting Bayox that clocks in at a chart-topping 24.1% and Super CBD, which is half Hindu, Kush, and 21%. Genetics of these guys are off the charts. So try Freestone Farm CBD at FreestoneFarmCBD.com. Use promo code FARZI for 20% off. How about PHL Sports Station, Philadelphia Sports Station, enhancing your Philadelphia sports fan experience across all social media and blogs. That's PHLSportsStation.com. Now let's get into the chat check, everybody. See how you guys are doing. Kevin, good morning. T-Bro. Oh, snap. Farzy, you in D-Town? Let's grab a beer. Gotta watch the kiddos. Dan Schwartz, what's up, buddy? Sean Gillespie, Malley, Northeast Sports, a lot of teams overlooked Hurts. Every team overlooked Hurts, as a matter of fact. Mia Sanchez, good morning, Mark. Everybody, happy Super Bowl week. Jeffrey Lurie, Howie Roseman, and the Eagles front office deserve more credit for consistent winning culture. You know, when you win a Super Bowl or you win Super Bowls, you can start to concentrate more on that winning culture. That's for damn sure. Because before, there was a little, what do you call it? It was a little too early with the gold standard comments from the early 2000s from Jeffrey Lurie. And I know he was talking about salary cap and all that stuff, but like when you hear your team owner say that you have become the gold standard in anything, you want to think, oh, good, where's the Super Bowls? Where are those parades? I didn't go to a parade yet. But now you don't just win. You don't just get the NFC Championship game consistently. You don't win it once and you make it to one Super Bowl. You're now talking about making it to yet another Super Bowl, winning it. And now you're talking about another Super Bowl and the favorite to win it. That's where we're at right now. So when you do that and you do it as Howie Roseman has done it over the last really 6-7 years, yeah, you can talk about that winning culture because you've won a Super Bowl. Now you're back to another. And then from here on out, it's all aesthetics. Especially, well, if you win, it's not aesthetics since you got 2 Super Bowls. So you're pretty damn good. What's up, Sean Gillespie? What's going on? Malley, be prepared to hear all week how the Birds haven't played anybody. Hurts and company disrespect. It's going to be annoying. Here's the thing, and maybe you guys could join me in this, Malley, and I'll address what you just said right now. Everything that gets said about the Eagles not playing anybody, getting disrespected in general, just put that in a nice big pot, okay? Put it in a nice big pot. Turn the flame on low. Let it simmer, all right? Let it come to a bubble, because by Sunday, it's going to be bubbling over. And the Eagles are going to take everything, all the disrespect about not playing anybody and Jalen Hurts not being worthy of MVP candidate or Jalen Hurts being a system quarterback or, you know, this team is just super talented or whatever. But it's not Hurts, it's the team or it's the scheme. It's not Hurts, whatever. Just put all of it into a pot and just start stirring it up. Because by the time Sunday hits, it's going to boil over. And the Eagles are going to explode. And the Eagles are going to handle their business. And they're going to be 2-time Super Bowl champions. And I do believe all the off-the-field stuff is going to affect what happens on the field. Because that's exactly how they won their last Super Bowl. With that extra added motivation, the underdog story, the disrespect, nobody's giving us a chance. Oh, man. They're going to dine on that once again to a tune of a Super Bowl victory. Blue City Empire Sports. Are you ready for baseball season? Wow, Blue City, tell me you're a Giants fan without telling me you're a Giants fan. Talking about baseball season already. And that is the New York Football Giants. Not talking about the San Francisco Giants. But no, we're still very much encapsulated in football season here. But I am excited for baseball. I am very excited for baseball. Trey Turner playing shortstop for the Philadelphia Phillies. My lineup has him leading off. I don't know what Rob Thompson's going to do quite yet. But my lineup has him leading off. Of course you're ready, PJ. Rewatching seasons by year just to get me ready. That's great. I can't believe Howie was able to trade Wentz and Rager and get something for them. Isn't that incredible? How about first-round picks? That's the other thing, man. Super Bowl is Sunday. Eagles are in it. Okay. The Phillies report to pitchers and catchers next week. No, we got some time there. A week and a half. Trey Turner will be a member of the Phillies, and in the upcoming NFL draft, the Eagles will have the 10th overall pick. And I don't want to mention the Sixers because they blew that lead last night to the Knicks. But still, the Sixers, I think, are going to do pretty good. When Eagles come to Charlotte, the fans definitely take over the stadium. April. Oh, boy, do they. You know why? I think it's hub to hub. I think it's American Airlines to American Airlines. So it's an easy Philly to Charlotte is an easy American Airlines connection. And I think that's why people make it so easy. Hey, that was a pretty good Big Daddy impression. Thanks, Dan Schwartz. I have enough practice. May my man rest in peace. April, I love Eagles' chance at away games. Absolutely. My expectations, Blue City Empire Sports, are for the Phillies to win the division. Sean Gillespie, New York is trying to jinx us. That's great. Doc Rivers has been the expert on blowing leads, even in the midst of a great stretch like they've had, or a 3-1 playoff series, anything. He's just an expert at it. Dan Schwartz said perfectly, my friend. What New York team do I hate the most? The Mets. PJ, I'm with you. I hate the Mets above all other New York teams, far and away. To answer that question, Blue City. April, anyone sitting at home during the World Series didn't own anyone? What? Mike Walker, am I wrong, or did Ayuk have just one more catch and 10 more yards receiving than my 6-year-old grandson? He had as much impact, and he lives in Istanbul, Turkey? Really? That's an interesting factoid there, Mike Walker. Istanbul, Turkey. I haven't been there yet. I've heard great things. A great radio engineer, by the way, by the name of Dwayne Bolt. Great guy. One of my favorite people I've ever worked with. I kid you not. He would go over to Turkey at least once or twice a year. I think he ended up marrying a nice lady from Turkey. And I'd be like, hey, Dwayne, what are you doing this week? And he's like, well, I leave Tuesday for vacation. And I'm like, oh, where are you going? He's like, Turkey. I'm like, you mean like Turks and Caicos? He's like, no, Turkey. Like the country. I'm like, what? Who goes to Turkey? Well, apparently he does. And he would like train martial arts too. He would like train people in his martial arts craft. He's really good at it. Waiting on a new name and logo reveal for San Francisco. Sources say new name, the 40 Whiners. Team colors pink and white with ruffled sleeves. Picture of the puffy shirt. I like it. They are a bunch of whiners. Still going, man. Still going. April. Andy's clock management is still awful, I'm sure. I wouldn't put it past him. He's actually, the radio hits I've done in Kansas City, that's like the first thing I say. Like, nothing would warm my heart more than the Eagles winning the game on a horrible clock management decision by Andy Reid. Like, him being out of timeouts by like the 5-minute mark of the fourth quarter would just be, oh, so wonderful. Mike Walker, isn't it impressive that all those Cowboys, Giants, and 40 Whiners players made the flag football team? That is good. They made the team, though. That's nice. Sean Gillespie, feel the same way. Nothing wrong with that. Hopefully our fears aren't justified. There you go. Be optimistic. Sean Gillespie, I had zero confidence in that 0-4 game. We only had 3 weapons at the most on offense. T.O., McNabb, throw up it all in Westbrook. That's crazy. Thanks to everybody in the chat. Thanks to everybody in the chat. You guys are great as per usual. Let's get to the morning rush brought to you by Sky Motorcars, SkyMotorcars.com. Eagles Super Bowl on Sunday. I'll say it every day this week. Don't you worry. Eagles Super Bowl on Sunday against the Chiefs. 6:30 kickoff. Look forward to that. Sixers now, they'll try to, recoup after the next couple of days here. They're back at it on Wednesday when they take on the Boston Celtics in Boston. 7:30 tip-off. That game will also be on ESPN. Flyers return from the All-Star break. Hey, remember the Flyers? Well, they get back to things tonight, as a matter of fact, when they drop the puck at home in South Philly against the Islanders. Speaking of things going on in South Philadelphia, congratulations to the Philadelphia Wings lacrosse team. Got their first home win of the season Saturday night in a rout over Albany. So that was great. New guy, Mitch Jones, getting involved. Goal, couple assists. Nice little day for himself. Really, really nice. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. This has been the Farzy Show presented by our good friend Steven Singer of Steven Singer Jewelers. Ray Didinger will join the show tomorrow. Look forward to catching up with the great R. Diddy. Have a great rest of your day, everybody. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Jim Hyde, produced the program, did a wonderful job as per usual. My name is Mark Farzetta. This is the Farzy Show presented by Steven Singer Jewelers. Have a great day. See you guys.